We're on to lab exercise number 2 now, but please don't forget everything. Don't forget anything that you learned from lab exercise number 1 with the drum machine. We're not going to talk about every single step like we did in the first exercise every single time. I'm going to assume that you can remember those things. We need to develop those habits. If you need to, go back and watch it again and again and maybe again, because you're going to have to import all those ideas from now on. We are going to be doing 2 things here. We're going to be hooking up a instrument via the DI input. So here's our electric guitar, a nice Mexican Stratocaster by Fender, and we're going to plug it into the M-Audio mic pre, the USB audio interface. We're going to plug it in just about the same way, but the difference, really the only difference, is that the cable is a TS cable, an instrument cable, not balanced, just one ring on it. But it's going to go from the guitar right into the DI input number 2, the exact same jack on the back of the M-Audio mobile pre that we used for the drum machine. So that's the first thing, just connecting that and then doing all the same stuff, the line checking, the gain stage setting, hooking up the guitar versus the drum machine. It's going to be just about the same thing, with the difference being that now you're going to strum a guitar. You don't have to know how to play the guitar. It's fine just to strum it. We're just kind of line checking it again. So that's the first thing that we're doing with this exercise. The second thing we're going to do is actually overdub 2 different parts. We're going to lay down one part on track 1, and then we're going to go to track 2 and listen to track 1 while syncing up track 2. So this will be our actual first overdub exercise. It's pretty simple. I'm going to walk you through it, and hopefully it's going to make plenty of sense. Now it's important to note that the Synth Lab is set up the way you'd expect it to be set up when you walk in. The speakers are off. I've already logged in. I'm going to go ahead and get Logic fired up. But the mobile pre, the audio interface, all the inputs are down. Everything's zeroed out like you'd expect. I'm going to plug my TS cable, my instrument cable, into the guitar here. And I'm going to spin the audio interface around and come into the instrument input for channel 2 and bring it back to the front here. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my empty project opened up. I want 2 tracks of audio, so there's my 2 tracks. Create. I'll click on my mixer icon up here to get these guys opened up. And as usual, these are going to open up defaulted to input 1, but I need to change that to input 2 because input 1 on the mobile pre's broke. All right, now they are both reading input 2 for channel 1 and input 2 for channel 2. I oftentimes click around to try to get only one track highlighted at a time. I just kind of it feels cleaner to me to not have everything highlighted, because sometimes you'll turn everything on that track to a certain setting when you don't mean to. Before I actually record an able, I'm going to file save as, create my new folder, name it something that makes sense, like overdub exercise. And then I'll save my file. It doesn't even really matter if I name my file the right thing, because I'm saving it inside of a folder that's named the right thing. So now that that's saved, I can click R for record enable on my first track. I've got the guitar plugged in. All the knobs on the guitar are turned up, the volume on the guitar. There's 3 knobs. You can roll them all to 10. That's just fine. That's the way most guitar players do it. I'm going to strum the guitar while it's actually just sitting in the guitar stand. I will click with my mouse the little number area to reset it. The peak number will kind of hang on to whatever my last peak was until I click it. So it says minus 22. I'm going to turn the gain up just a little bit more on channel 2. Now it says minus 15. Let's check it again. Minus 17. That's not bad. I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there around minus 15 or so. So now if I put Logic into input monitoring mode by clicking the I button, I'm going to hear my guitar. Now depending on how you're working, sometimes it makes sense to come to project settings. I'm going to go to recording, and I really don't want my count in. So I'm going to turn this count in from 1 bar to none. And now I don't have to hear the metronome click off every time that I put it into record mode. So my input monitoring is enabled, my little I is checked, record enable is flashing, we're ready to record. Here we go. Okay, I can take track 1 out of input monitor mode and record enable mode, move over to track 2, and put those guys into those modes. Now one thing that's not a bad idea to do, if I'll come to view and customize control bar and display, I'm going to make sure my low latency mode is showing up. And that's this button right here. Anytime you're overdubbing, it's not a bad idea to have low latency mode turned on, just to kind of try to keep things nice and tight so that you don't have too much drift between what's passing through the computer in real time for you to monitor the audio and the actual signal that's being played. It's probably not going to be a big deal for us right now because we don't have any plugins on, we're only using 2 tracks, but in the future this will be a good habit for you to make sure to put low latency mode on when you're doing recording. Alright, so really, for our purposes, that's pretty much all there is to it. Now we could fool around a little bit. Let me go ahead and turn input monitoring off and record enable off. Let's move the playhead back to the beginning and just play that back. Okay, so that's what overdubbing is. We would continue to put new things on and build up our mix one piece on top of the other just by going to additional tracks. That's all I really want you guys to practice for this second exercise. That and understanding how the guitar plugs into the interface, very similarly to the way that the drum machine did. And also, I want to point out that these 2 things that we've done so far, the drum machine and the guitar, they have been very easy for us to monitor live over the speakers because they don't pick up the room sound. The drum machine obviously doesn't pick up the room sound, and the guitar pickups don't pick up the room sound, they just pick up the guitar. That means that the speakers can be on while we're recording and everything sounds fine. We will discover that once we start using microphones in the same room with speakers, things get a little bit trickier. But that's for another exercise, another lecture. You guys, hope you had a good time with this. And remember to follow the reversal procedures so that everything gets disconnected and turned off in the proper order and we don't make any pops go through the speakers. Have fun.